if you focused on every day, you would get so much important stuff done. Urgent and important.
The more and more value you give to others and are capable of giving to others, the more demand there is on your time and attention.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1233, The Illusion of Progress and How It's Holding You Back. Today, for episode number 1234, 1234, how do you know if you're focusing on the right things? So, Alan is going to talk more in this episode than I, because he understands this at a deeper level, but this is an example of what we're going to talk about today. I got an edible arrangement from my mom the other day, because Tara and I were sick, so it was last week. So she sent us an edible arrangement. If you know me, if you're a client of me, if you're a friend of mine, you know that if you call me in the middle of the day, I'm not going to answer. I don't even have my phone. It's somewhere in the office. It's on silent. It's upside down. So when they came, they called and wanted me to come down and get the edible arrangement. I didn't get the call because I didn't see my phone. I didn't have my phone. I get voicemails all the time from spam numbers, so I just didn't respond. And my mom texted me the next day and she said, "Hey, did you get my edible arrangement?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. I'll go check downstairs and see if it's there." And she's like, "Okay." I went downstairs and checked, and it wasn't there. And she's like, "Oh, just call them back and they'll come, they'll bring it back." I waited couple days, and I just never called. and then I texted my mom, and she texted me, and she's like, "Hey, did you ever get your edible arrangement?" And I was like, "No, I'll call today. I've just been busy." And she's like, "Honestly, it's probably too late. They're probably not going to bring it anyway. I'm probably out the however much I spent on it." And I felt bad about that. Like I do feel guilty, and I feel bad because I don't want my mom to think I didn't appreciate it. I did appreciate it. But that's what we're talking about in this episode, the difference between important things and urgent things. For me, it was kind of an urgent thing in terms of like time, but it was, and Alan will go into this deeper, but it wasn't super, I don't want to say it wasn't important, but it wasn't as important as some of the other stuff I was doing. I was trying to catch up from COVID. Like I was in the office, I was trying to get work done because I felt so far behind that it was very hard for me to consider that as important as maybe my mom specifically would have liked, or maybe somebody else listening might say, "Wow, that was kind of selfish." I can understand why you think that. But to me, it wasn't as important as some other things that I had going on. And I have so what we're kind of talking about, I believe, Alan, is the Eisenhower Matrix. Is that correct? I have that up for reference, but go ahead, explain.
So the Eisenhower Matrix is it's 4 quadrants, and there's a y-axis and an x-axis. And on the y-axis, correct me if I'm wrong, Kev, Can we just do, because I don't think most people, maybe this is me, x-axis, y-axis. Anytime you say that, okay. I'm out. All right. I'm going to do 4 squares.
Yeah. Top left, top right,
yep.
Bottom left,
Got it.
Bottom right.
Perfect. Okay, let's do that. Okay, 4 squares.
Yeah.
Upper right, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, okay, because I'm not looking at it. Upper right is urgent and important. Upper
right is not urgent and important.
Okay.
Upper left is urgent and important.
Got it. Okay. So upper right is important but not urgent.
Correct.
Upper left is urgent and important.
Correct.
Bottom left is not urgent, not important.
Bottom left is urgent, not important.
Okay, urgent, not important. And then bottom right is?
Not urgent, not important.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I apologize that I got this wrong. Excuse me, I know the concept very well. And the idea here is you don't want to spend time and effort on things that are not important. What low performers do in this, quote unquote, is they spend a lot of time on things that are urgent but not important. And remember, important is contextual, okay? You don't want to spend any time on anything that's not important and not urgent. I ideally don't want to spend a ton of time on things that are urgent but not important. Those are kind of like the fires. Those are like, oh, hey, I just wanted to call and Kev, what are you up to this weekend? And as a business owner, it's very difficult to prioritize your time. And this is a beautiful thing, but it is true. The more and more and more valuable you become in life, the more and more value you give to others and are capable of giving to others, the more demand there is on your time and attention. And so you have three resources in life. You have your time, your effort, and your money. And so in an ideal world, if you want to maximize your success, you want to make sure that you invest your time, your effort, and your money on the most important things. And so for Kev, the edible arrangement, and his mom's very important to him, but the edible arrangement was not that important to him.
Compared to the other stuff.
Exactly. Compared to the other stuff. And that's the thing. It's all relative.
Yeah.
You know, if you're starving to death, but also dying of hydration or dehydration, you need water more than food because you'll die without water longer than food. So water is more important and urgent. But if you have a big barrel of water that's clean that you've been drinking out of and you don't have food, all of a sudden food becomes way more urgent and way more important. So it's always contextual. So imagine someone who's trying to survive and they have both water and food. Neither water nor food are urgent or important. Let's say someone has water but not food. Okay, food is way more important. Let's say someone has food but not water. Water is way more important. Let's say someone has neither. Water is way more important because you can only survive 3 days without water?
I don't know.
And I think it's like 30 plus or whatever for food. I honestly don't know. But I do know, but oxygen, if you don't have oxygen, but you do have water and food, and that's the idea here. And hopefully this will land. If you
have it up, so I can go through like what the suggestions are for each as well. So that might help. Please. So if something is important and urgent, do it first. So in Alan's analogy, I've watched a lot of outdoor shows, huge fan. One of the first things they do is they start a fire. Because without a fire, you might not last the night. Mm-hmm. Never mind 3 days, whatever, right? So it's important to do, and it's urgent, and it has to be done in a timely manner. So they suggest do that first.
Yep.
If it's important but not urgent, schedule it. So if it's important that you have to, this is why to-do lists are so big. It's important to do, but it's not urgent. It's not super time sensitive. You know, it's not that big of a deal if it doesn't get done right now. Schedule it. If it's urgent and not important, delegate it. So in this analogy, it was urgent that I got the edible arrangement because if I didn't get it within a couple of days, it was going to go away. I'm not saying it wasn't important, but it wasn't as important as some of the other things that I had going on. Think of it this way. If I can send an email to a client that might end up bringing us $6,000 in the next 12 months versus going and getting an edible arrangement, you better believe I got to send the email. Or maybe I have 5 emails to send. So it says delegate it. Maybe in the future, I could have, and again, the problem is I didn't know, but I could have always said, hey, babe, I'm about to be on a call. Can you run downstairs and grab the edible arrangement? Unfortunately, Taryn had COVID, so she couldn't do it.
Which again would have been delegating, right?
Right, which have been delegating. There's levels to that, so that's one of the reasons that story might not necessarily work. And then the last box, this is the bottom right, not urgent, not important, delete it. It's not urgent, it's not time sensitive, and it's not important. It doesn't bring a ton of value to what you're doing, delete it. So when we're talking about how to, I don't remember the name of the episode, but how to figure out what to focus on, this is kind of it, where a lot of us are doing stuff that they're not urgent and it's not important. And that's why we put it on a to-do list and it gets buried and buried and buried and buried, because if it's not that big of a deal and it hasn't pinged you yet, it might not be that important. But there are certain things for you that are urgent and important. For us, when we met today, so Alan and I met Monday, the most urgent, time-sensitive, and important thing for us was to sit down and redesign our lives. And then immediately after that, the most urgent and important thing was to record 8 episodes. And here we are in episode number 8. It's 8:10 at night, and this is the last thing we'll do. And then for me, I'm going to eat, and that's going to be it. So when we're talking about focus, maybe it's not the specific task, but it's the understanding beneath the task and where it actually falls on this. Maybe we should have said this in the beginning. Maybe Google the Eisenhower Matrix, or maybe what we can do is we can put it in the show notes. We can put a link in the show notes. That way you can kind of look along as we talk about it.
Well, The other thing I want to share is, so speaking of today, and again, we're talking about us, but we want you thinking about your own life. Kevin and I, the most urgent and important thing was us to redesign for 2023 because that was a long overdue. The business has evolved a lot. Our goals, we just set goals. We need to redesign. Okay, so as soon as that was done, we started recording these 8 episodes, which is urgent and important, and it's extra urgent because I'm going away for 5 days and you're going away to PodFest. So it's extra urgent today, which is why we're doing 8 in a row, whereas sometimes we'll split them up amongst a couple days. But let's say right now, and you might be able to hear little Tucker in the background. I don't know if you can hear him at all, little Tucker. Okay, so I'll share this story. Emilia and I have a house rule when we both have the upstairs there's like a nook section where we have a little workstations and charging stations for our devices. And then we each have an office and then we have a bathroom upstairs. We have a house rule where if our office doors are closed, like don't come in. We're in flow, we're front facing, we're with a client or doing a podcast, recording, whatever, right? One time Tucker, his nail fell off and he was bleeding all over the bed downstairs. And I had no idea what to do because she's had Tucker a lot longer than me. I've only had Tucker for 3 years. She's been a dog mom for 5. And I didn't know what to do, quite frankly. But I burst into her office, for lack of better phrasing, saying, "Sweetheart, Tucker's bleeding." And I had no idea why at the time. And it turned out his nail just falls off. That happens, whatever. It's not a big deal. But when he's bleeding, I don't know what's going on. I immediately know to go get her. And I know in advance that's what she'd want. And she was in the middle of a team meeting with the Evolve Ventures team, and she immediately said, "I got to go." Canned the meeting, transferred to host, immediately downstairs with me. Same deal. If Tucker or Tariel or Emilia or someone was hurt right now, you and I would immediately go tend to them because it becomes more urgent and more important. And so all of us are naturally drawn to the things that are the most important and the most urgent, but we have to try our best to realize that sometimes the things that seem so urgent aren't actually that important.
Hey Kevin, Kim here. Just wanted to send you a video to say thank you so much for your help on creating the Peaceful Productivity Podcast. You know, I couldn't have done it without you. I knew you'd be lots of great help with the technical aspects of getting the podcast going, but you went well above and beyond that. You helped me with the strategy and you gave me all kinds of really great support. You know, I think the key to success in business is a great attitude, and you have that in spades. You really walk the walk. So thanks again. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
So let me give you an example. There's certain people who maybe have a text to me right now or a WhatsApp message to me right now who I can feel the pressure of them upset that I've not gotten back to them yet. But that is not more important than this podcast. It's not. And by the way, what's urgent and what's important is completely contextual based on your goals and your core values. I have a core value of my intimate relationship over everything. So if something is wrong with Emilia, I'm immediately going to shift and go over there. But assuming she's good, which I know she is because I just checked in with her, in between episodes, I'm always going over to see her. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. And why? Because I'm checking in on the fam. I'm checking how Tucker and Tariel are doing. I'm checking in on Emilia. Tucker and Tariel, by the way, are our dog and cat. And when we have children, I'll do the same thing. Because those are core values. And so, but podcasting, these episodes, impacting as many people as possible, growing NLU, very, very important too. That's also a core aspiration. That's a goal. So if we're going to hit our goals this year, you better believe this podcast is more important than some edible arrangement. And I don't mean to be unkind, but that is the truth. And your mom just happens to be so awesome and okay with that. But a lot of people would take that personally. And if they did, that guilt trip they were going to get would get them to change their behavior. And luckily, you know, Kevin's caregivers have never made him, his mom and memes have never made him feel guilty. But a lot of people do that. They make you feel guilty, which creates urgency, even though it's not maybe that important. So you spend your whole life putting out fires, majoring in minor things, wondering why you're getting no traction, when in reality, Emilia and I got, our families were a little upset that we worked out instead of seeing them on the holidays. But what if that's more important? What if working out and exercise was more important to all of us? And by the way, they're welcome to join us, right? So again, at the end of the day, it all depends on your core values, your goals, your dreams, your belief system. But I do think that understanding this matrix is super, super powerful.
So Alan and I lived in Florida for, was it 2019? 2018? For a month?
2019.
2019. So I remember one of my buddies was like, wait, I can't believe, like, why are you going now? Like, why do you have to be there for Christmas and New Year's? 'Cause I think we came back on New Year's Day because it's
I think
urgent.
it was 2018. I think it was.
I don't remember. I think it probably was because it's urgent. It's time sensitive because we have the opportunity to do it now. We might as well do it. And it's important because there's a lot of lessons. That's the interesting thing is when it comes to opportunity, you do have to be calculated like this. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that calculation comes off as a little bit cold. I've told this story before, and it might not land, but I think it will in this context. Last year, we live in a complex, and they come and plow and all that stuff. And if you don't move your car, they'll tow your car because they can't plow if there's a bunch of cars in there. So we got the text or whatever that they were coming to plow, and Taryn was like, hey, you got to move your car or they're going to tow it. And I was like, I have a podcast breakthrough session with somebody who wants to know the pricing. Let them tow it. Me doing this call, it's more important and it's more urgent. If I get a client, and again, it's $6,000 over the course of a year, $10,000 over the course of the year, I'll pay the $400 ticket. It's not that big of a deal. It's just not as important. It's important. I know it's going to be a pain in the butt, but not contextually, it's not as important. So it's hard, but sometimes this is why you choose a certain call over, hanging out with a friend or whatever. You choose going to see a certain friend over another friend because you only have so much time. This can be used in anything. I think this is I've looked at this. It's been a long time since I've looked at this, but really try to absorb this. We'll put a link in the show notes for one of these. I'll find a good one, but really look at this when you're listening to the episode, because I think this is something that if you focused on every day, you would get so much important stuff done. Urgent and important.
This remarkable, and I'm showing it on the camera right now. I used to every single day when I used to do my to-do list, I used to do it on this remarkable. Now I use Google Tasks because it's honestly better. But I used to have the 4 quadrants, and I used to consistently rearrange them. And one last thing I'll say is this. When you're young, I remember when I was, and we talk about this often, Kev used to work at the gas station for minimum wage, or maybe a little above it, I don't know. And I used to work as a busboy and a cart kid. You better believe $20 an hour would have been a huge upgrade back then. But if someone's willing to pay me $20 an hour to go do something, it's not urgent or important because I'm worth more than that now than I used to be. And this is another economic conversation we can have. But like to Kevin's point with the opportunity cost of not, like for some people, like if you were making minimum wage,
For sure.
you need to go move that car.
For sure.
That's more urgent because it's going to cost you more money, right? And so my point with this, it has to evolve. If you think about your favorite actor, everyone think about their favorite actor. What's yours, Kev?
My favorite actor. Oh man, really put me on the spot. Probably Chris Pratt.
Okay, Chris Pratt. Okay, at the beginning of Chris Pratt's career, Pratt's career, he needed to take any role he could get. Mm-hmm. Now, you better believe for less than $10 million, he's not taking a single... Dude, no way. He's Guardians of the Galaxy. He's Jurassic World. I mean, right? At the beginning of Chris Pratt's career, it was urgent and important to do any role he could get his hands on. Now, you're not getting Chris Pratt for less than $10 million or $5 million or whatever. Unless... And I remember hearing a story about Jonah Hill and how he literally did Moneyball for free to work with Brad Pitt. And he did, I think, another movie to work with Leonardo DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street, to work with Leonardo DiCaprio for free, and Martin Scorsese, the director, as well. But
it wasn't free. I think it was $40K. I think he made like $40,000.
Okay, $40,000. Just that cost or whatever.
Again, for him, that is almost free because he makes more money for other movies.
Exactly. And so again, this is my point, it evolves. It has to evolve. And so we get in these patterns of doing urgent things that, and this is the question for everyone as we go. What are you doing that used to be important and used to be urgent? And And more importantly, what are you doing that is important to everyone else but not important to you? Because that's not fair to you. You're going to look back and regret that. Time and effort. I used to spend my life trying to please everybody, and that I regret because I spent time and effort on things that weren't aligned. And it's because I allowed guilt and the fear of being disliked to stop me from doing my most important, most meaningful work in the world. And that's work on myself. That's work on XYZ. So I know a lot of people out there struggle to put themselves first, and you struggle to build yourself and build your self-esteem and go to the gym on the holidays or whatever it is. It's important for you to make the important things first and to do the most important things. The important thing is to keep the important thing, regardless of what everyone else thinks is so urgent, right?
It's a challenge, especially in personal relationships. That's where it's really hard because, again, contextually, humans are intrinsically valuable. When it comes to opportunity and it comes to finance and connections, whatever, it isn't that way. For a long time, anytime when we were working with Dave Meltzer, anytime he would message us, we would make it happen. 7 a.m, 9 p.m, we have to move calls. It's urgent and it's important. We're going to do it. There's other times where it's been, with other people, it might be like, hey, these are the times we have available. Are you interested or not? Kind of. Not to that, but like sometimes when I'm doing free calls, it's like, look, this is the only time I have. I mean, I'm offering you a free call. Like, I'm not going to jump through a hoop so I can do a free call with you. It's not necessarily the most urgent or important thing for me. I want to add value. So I think I'm glad we did this episode because I think that's a very powerful framework that a lot of people, including myself, can use. I haven't really set it up that way. So I learned something in this episode as well.
Absolutely, brother.
Next Level Nation. If you want to learn something, not only about next levelness, peak performance, relationships, habits, whatever it may be, but about yourself, please join us. April 1st, 2023, Next Level Live. Alan, myself, 49 other people, and you. It's going to be an experience. And again, at the end of the day, when we learn more about ourselves than anything else. That's what our focus is. We talk about that every episode. We're trying to raise your awareness. We're trying to help you shift your identity. So imagine doing that in person. Everything you need to know is in the show notes. It's only $97 for a ticket. We're only taking 50 people.
Next levelness.
Next levelness.
Next
like
levelness. That's what you said.
Uh-huh.
Next levelness.
I said it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So I've been thinking a lot lately about what is the most important thing. I was asking Emilia recently, we were eating dinner, and I said, what's the most important book that you would recommend to somebody? I love questions like that. Like if you could slide a book across the table to your younger self and say, like, this is the book. This is it. This is going to change the game for you. For me, it would be The Compound Effect. For her, it would be Emotions. What was it? What Emotions Are Made Of. I don't remember the exact author, but it's What Emotions Are Made Of. And I still have to read it. I told her, wow, it's alarming that your favorite book I haven't read. Mm-hmm. But what I've been thinking about a lot lately when I ask questions like that is, what is the most important thing? And I come to two things. One, self-belief. Because if you don't have self-belief, you're not going to ignite the compound effect. And you probably won't even read books, because if you don't believe in yourself, why read a book? Why try to get better, right? Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. The second thing is who you surround yourself with. Group coaching is designed to put you in a room with other people that are trying to improve, that are struggling with self-belief and self-worth, and who have goals and dreams. I think that so many of us have goals and dreams, but we are not supported. We get bullied. We get made fun of. Oh, like, you're going to be a podcaster. Oh, you're going to start a podcast. That's cute. Like, any of that crap. You're never going to be bullied in group coaching. You're going to be in a place with other like-minded people. And there's nothing more important than self-belief and being around a supportive group of people that have goals and dreams and want to see you win. That's what group coaching is. Group 10 starts, you picked the date, Kev.
Oh, I have no idea what it is.
Do you know?
I couldn't, no. Not off the top
Okay.
of my head.
I want to say it's in 2 months. 2 months or so. You can go to the landing page. I just reached out to Alessandro. He's revamped it to be for group 10. At very least, watch the video, look at what you get with group coaching. At this point, we will have graduated 94 people because we have 10 that we're graduating right now. And if you're interested, reach out to Kevin or myself, or you can lock your spot on the landing page. And again, I think it's in like 2 months. So, but the key is to just get us in your corner. We'll be in your corner. There's an assistant coach that will be in your corner. There's a private WhatsApp group. There's a workbook. It's the train tracks that are going to bring you closer to your dreams. 90-day program. We hope you join us.
I believe it is starting on April 4th.
April 4th.
4/4/23. So 3 days after Next Level Live.
Perfect.
Which is wild. Next Level Nation. I do not know what the next episode is because we are very far ahead and I only named 8. I do not know. It's going to be good. We'll talk about stuff. It's going to be like next levelness.
Next levelness.
Next levelness. That's what I can promise. I don't know what else it'll be, but it'll be next levelness. As always, we love you, appreciate you, grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans, we have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.